Ladies and gentlemen, or just ladies, buckle your seatbelts. Listen, libido and hormone balance questions were at the top of the list for our community members. So, in this, Dr. John Gray's follow up episode to his original, and we will link to the first one, of course, in the show notes today. But we are answering a lot of questions about sex, my friends, and intimacy beyond that, which is really what it's all about. Today, you're going to want to take a long hike. Take us with you. And then I would love for you to share this with a partner, a significant other, and then listen together again after they've listened. It's that kind of episode. If you're just listening for yourself, you're going to still want to hit replay because there is a lot to love about this episode. But what I love as much as anything in this episode is Dr. John Gray became popular in the 80s and the 90s. Today, in 2022, he got lit up. You'll hear it. You'll hear his conviction during this episode. He is still as passionate and purposeful about what he's doing as ever. My wish for myself and for you is that we all have the kind of purpose-driven passion in our lives for as long as possible. My guest today, I'm reading his entire bio, so hang on. John Gray is the author of the most well-known and trusted relationship book of all times, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. USA Today listed his book as one of the top 10 most influential books of the last quarter century. In hardcover, it was the #1 best-selling book of the 1990s. Dr. Gray's books are translated into approximately 45 languages in more than 100 countries and continues to be a bestseller. Dr. Gray has written over 20 books. His most recent book is Beyond Mars and Venus. His Mars-Venus book series forever changed the way men and women view their relationships. John helps men and women better understand and respect their differences in both personal and professional relationships. His approach combines specific communication techniques with healthy nutritional choices that create the brain and body chemistry for lasting health, happiness, and romance. His many books, blogs, and free online workshops at marsvenus.com provide practical insights to improve relationship at all stages of life and love. An advocate of health and optimal brain function, he also provides natural solutions for overcoming depression, anxiety, and stress to support increased energy, libido, hormone balance, and better sleep. He has appeared repeatedly on Oprah as well as the Dr. Oz Show Today, CBS This Morning, Good Morning America, and others. He has been profiled in Time, Forbes, USA Today, and People. He was also the subject of the 3-hour special hosted by Barbara Walters. John Gray lives in Northern California, where for 34 years he happily shared his life with his beautiful wife, Bonnie, until her passing in 2018. They have 3 grown daughters and 4 grandchildren. He's an avid follower of his health and relationship advice. I can't wait to get you into this episode, and please make sure you listen to all of it. Dr. John Gray, thanks so much for joining us again.
I'm happy to be with you. Part 2.
Part 2. Okay. And you need to be ready. So buckle your seatbelt. Our audience had a lot of questions. And as you might guess, a lot of them are related to libido. So both my husband and I took early retirement. So we're together a lot. In her words, he occupies a lot of my time. And I have less freedom than I thought retirement was going to give me. And our sex life isn't great right now. What can we do?
Well, that's because you're spending too much time together. You have to take your time where you're getting estrogen stimulation from other people, not sexually. Let me tell a little story with this. I have a class. We're just finishing it for our website. It's called Understanding Men. And big part of men that women don't understand is cave time. Why men take the cave. Don't take it personally when he takes his cave. Why not enough cave time will make a man low energy, which is this example. And he's just not taking his cave time. He's like a woman wanting to connect. See, connection is estrogen, detachment is testosterone. And so when he's on his estrogen side, it pushes you to your testosterone side and you go, I got to get away. I need my time. So you just have to learn how to get away. He's not your slave. I mean, you're not his slave. You just take your time. And then he'll get pouty. That's because he's so estrogen. See, when men go to their female side, it's more disgusting. It's disgusting to a woman. When a woman go to their female side, it's not disgusting. It might be we don't understand it. We think she's overreacting or she might be a little needy. But when a man goes there, oh, it's so disgusting. And women sort of shame themselves for being judgmental of it because they don't want him to be judgmental of her for maybe being emotional or needy or wanting to spend time sometime. So she doesn't give herself permission to just be truthful to yourself. It is disgusting. And you don't have to try to be there for him. You really have to know that stay busy and then ask him to plan dates for you. If he wants to spend time with you, give him 3 things. These are 3 things you pick and plan it, and we can have some special time together. But you need more distance if you want to bring back your sex life.
Great advice. Okay. This one is a little bit more, it's still both working. So this starts with, she says, I'm married. My husband works outside the home running his own business. I'm running my business from home. We're both busy making tons of decisions all day, and then it's not easy to shift gears and connect at night. You had me at Libido. Apparently, she listened to the first one. Any suggestions? And she says most women want to chat, but even with girlfriends, I tend to be kind of just done talking at the end of the day.
Well, that's your way on your male side, and that will kill your libido. There's so many things, so we'll just focus on another thing that stops libido. Ultimately, for women, libido comes when your estrogen levels are flourishing on your own. Then he can take you higher. That's when your libido comes in. So think about this. So I was doing this class with Lauren, and she was telling me, we contribute together with it. And she's happily married, very happily married, knows my material. She has tons of blogs at my website, maurysvenus.com. And she says this thing, we're writing it out, and she says, and when you pull him out of the cave, when you give him enough cave time and he comes out, then he'll be romantic. And I said, really? I'm not romantic all the time. I come out of my cave. I'll be nice. To me, romantic is not feeling more love, more affection, whatever. But, we have a routine life here with our kids and whatever. There's no room for romance sometimes. And she said, oh, no, Dad, you don't get it. Or actually, I asked her to explain it more. What would be romantic when he comes out of his cave? And she says, oh, he'll just go into the kitchen and start cleaning up and empty the trash. And that's romantic? And she says, yes. So then I interpreted that to mean that because she's already happy, then when he does those things, she becomes happier. See, if her estrogen is here, anything he does at that point is starting to stimulate romantic feelings inside. Romantic feelings mean openness and interest in sex. Okay, there's a movement in that direction. Not fully there yet, but it's a movement in that direction. And so there's where I saw, when I teach about men are from Mars, women are from Venus, there's a great chapter in there on little things make a big difference. So I had to now expand that in later books, which is if her estrogen is close to normal, doing little things for her is romantic. And starts building it higher and higher. So you have a libido and a romantic feeling from time to time. If your estrogen is 0, so the point I make there is men, you have to understand, you bring her 50 roses, that's just one surge of estrogen, okay? Give her 1 rose, and it's the same surge of estrogen. And occasionally, certainly give her 50 roses on a special occasion. You need to do occasionally some big things, but pretty much what they need is a lot of little things. Those little things keep the estrogen up. But then as soon as it hits a certain level, those things are romantic. And so scoring points, why men think, oh, I took you on that date and I did this and I did that. That must be 100 points. That can last me for a while. Or he brings home, buys her something. Oh, that's cost a lot of money. So that's 100 points. No, it's 1 point, maybe two. That's it. It goes away very quickly. Part of the romantic thing is roses. Bring her roses or cut flowers. And you kind of go, well, why cut flowers? One, you don't have to take care of them. It's not, you don't have to water them every day. It's not a job for her. You're giving her something that she doesn't have to do anything to take care of it. And two, it will die in a week. So you need to get more. The whole idea of romance is continuing to support her estrogen levels rather than take her for granted. Of course, I love you. Of course, you I care about you. Of course, you're the priority in my life. Well, you have to show it. Kind of like today, having missed my partner for a while. Suddenly the energy is there. The dopamine is there. I'm wanting to make sure she feels special and whatever. And the tendency is to make sure you do that occasionally, but every day, lots of little things. So I bought a bunch of oranges so that I'll make her orange juice with my orange juice machine. So she'll see me doing something personally for her. Mm-hmm. Also, I went and I bought some things that I know she likes that I don't even like that much, but that she likes. They're important to her. Bone steak. Okay. It's got steak in. She'll go, oh, he thought about me. He knows what I like. You see, I learned all this from my wife, Bonnie, because I'd be in the restaurant and she would always get really excited when she could see, oh, John, I know what you're going to order. Because see, women give themselves a lot of points for knowing what their partner wants. And so I'll go to the restaurant and I sort of outmail her and I'll go, oh, look, they've got goat cheese. And I know you're going to order that. And she's like, well, maybe not tonight, but thank you for noticing. Just like knowing what your partner values is a big thing on Venus. So these are like little tips that men don't realize are powerful. And part of why, even if I'm talking to mostly women, the reason I say that, what men need to learn is maybe men will listen to this, or women have to realize that men don't know these things already. These are things that men don't know. And often women will nod their head when I'm saying stuff, but they don't always clearly have the words to describe it so they can share it with their partner, the importance of little things. Because little things build the same estrogen as big things. So you need lots of little things that give women feel special and so forth. And and you can ask a man, you say, honey, sometimes I feel afraid you don't love me. Would you remind me every few days, just say the words, you love me? He'll say, but why? I work so hard. I know logically how much you love me because you work so hard. It's just, it feels really good when you say it. So see, that's a nice way of approaching it as opposed to, why don't you tell me you love me? That just comes across as criticism. And a lot of women don't even do that. They just accept what is rather than realize asking for help is a major, or asking for support to nurture your well-being is a major estrogen producer. And how many women actually feel comfortable asking for emotional support? Most women don't.
Does it also produce testosterone for him if she
Absolutely.
asks him?
Yes, yeah. And he delivers. Okay. He delivers. I've got a great game for people, which is, it's called Genie in the Bottle. It can wake up any man's testosterone because it's going to help her experience more estrogen. See, when a man does things that actually stimulate her estrogen, his testosterone goes up. That's like even in sex, the energy rises and rises and rises because he's hard, but also soft. And she's soft and she feels that passion inside of her. It's finding the male and female sides of us is like going back and forth, which for most people is a huge feat. Because we get stuck. Men get stuck feeling procrastination, passive, grumbling, pouting, drug addiction, alcohol addiction. See, all of that is depending on something else to make me happy. That's estrogen. And testosterone is depending on yourself to produce a result and get a reward and then be happy. So that it's a different cycle of action and rest. He needs his time away from you where he works, and then he needs his time away from you where he rebuilds his testosterone. Then in your presence, he can do something that raises your estrogen up. Then if he's already at a good level of testosterone, that will just push him higher and higher. Success produces testosterone in men, and when a man is depressed, it's ultimately when he's married, he can't make his wife happy. That's the only reason men ever get a divorce. They say, no matter what I do, it's never enough to make her happy. And I explained to him, well, he's not doing anything. and it's not, it's, and when she's not happy, he takes it personally and gets upset. I said, that's not your job. Your job is to be positive, feel good, and provide the safety for her to go through her emotional swings. And then they start becoming more moderate and so forth. Make it safe for her to open up. And then you have the ultimate how to communicate class. But let's just stop there. And the little game I mentioned is called Genie in the Bottle. And the Genie in the Bottle is just 10 minutes. You can do it once a week and then do it twice a week. It's really fun. But during that 10 minutes, she's not allowed to do anything for herself except ask him for support. And so she says, I want you to go clean the kitchen in 2 minutes, or whatever you can do in 2 minutes. So while he's cleaning the kitchen, whatever he can do, and she only got 10 minutes. So give me 2 minutes of cleaning the kitchen as fast as you can. And then while you're doing it, she says, and try to do that more often outside this 10 minutes. That's not allowed. This is just quick action and response. Run to my bedroom and get my lavender oil and bring it down. So he runs and then he comes back and his response is always right away, happy to do it. Certainly, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Like a maitre d' at a fancy restaurant or first class flight attendant, they can say, whatever you want, I'm here for you. I'll do whatever you want. Funny, nothing they can do. I don't eat their food. But regardless, you're at home, you ask them to do little things for you, maybe change that light bulb up there, sweep out the garage, as long as it's within a 10-minute zone. And you have to watch him. You can't do anything for yourself at that time. You have to see him responding quickly to your request. Usually foot massages is the most common thing couples do, or make something in the kitchen for you. Or even you can try this, have him feed you. So you have some food at home, maybe get some takeout or whatever, and say, now tonight for Genie in the Bottle, I'd like you to feed me. And literally go through your resistance to receiving and letting somebody give to you. Because many women have sort of, by 50 years old, the trust level is really down in their relationship to ask for help. Because in the past, women ask and they get resistance from men. I call it the grumbles. And then so now they already anticipating his grumbles. And women misinterpret the grumbles. The grumbles are like a dog barking whose tail is wagging. It's just that when a woman grumbles, no tail is wagging. She won't forget it. It's a whole different reality. When men grumble, they're just letting you know, I better get a reward. That's it. And it's like, this better be important enough to get like appreciation or a hug, or, don't just think I should do it because I'm the husband. That's all it is. And it's also kind of a shift where he's now, and ADD men are even harder with this, but they literally are so focused on something, and now you want them to do something else. It's like the hinges of shifting gears or squeaking. That's all it is. Here I'm writing on a book. I'd be hyper focused, and my wife's feeling a little ignored, so she wants to feel connection. So she calls down to my office. Oh, John, I need your help. I say, okay, what is it? And she says, oh, the Browns are coming for dinner. I just want to get some cauliflower. I want to make my cauliflower soup, and I got all the ingredients, but no cauliflower. Would you just go to the store and pick up some cauliflower? Oh, honey, I'm working on my book. I'm in a flow. I don't want to do that. And she says, yeah, I know you're working so hard. It would just be so nice if I could have my cauliflower soup. I said, no, why don't you just get some mushroom soup and we got those canned soups. You could just use that. Or I'm okay not having cauliflower soup. We can do it another time. And she said, yeah, we could. That's right. Those are all magic phrases. Yes. You're right. I get it. You work hard. Okay. It's all those nice complimentary things start softening them up, build up a little testosterone so he can make a shift of focus. Because see, when we have ADD kids, what they're doing is on the male side, they're just not making enough testosterone to stay interested in their teacher talking. But if they're on a video game, which has lots of dopamine, newness to it, they have no problem focusing. So it's not a problem with focus. It's a problem with testosterone, not enough energy unless you're being stimulated. And, going to the store to pick up a cauliflower is not that stimulating. So she just did what I just said. She did 3 or 4 more. Oh, be so nice. You're right. They don't have to have cauliflower soup. It's just, I got all the ingredients. I was hoping to do it. It would really be nice. Finally, I grumbled like, okay, I'll go. Only take 10 minutes. So I go to the store, and now that I got a new goal. Whenever a man has a goal and takes action, his testosterone goes up. And now there's nothing to grumble about. You're feeling good. And I come back, I'm holding the cauliflower like I caught a touchdown pass as I'm coming in. And I got it. I got the cauliflower. And she's like, yay. My daughter is yay when she was a little girl at that time. So this is training a man to learn little things make a big difference. And you can ask for help and get it. So, and you got to be in the beginning, you don't ask for big stuff. You start with little things and I know, but it would just be so nice. That's one approach. There's so many different tools that we have in my books. I want to mention the book I'm writing from here is called Beyond Mars and Venus. But then there's also Libido. A lot of guys just, there's no passion in the relationship. One aspect of it is he doesn't know how to have sex. So here's Mars and Venus in the bedroom. These are fun things to read together. With no pressure to have sex. We need to take the goal orientation out of sex and realize it's getting naked just to please each other and feel love, as opposed to have orgasms. And then you'll start having orgasms. What women primarily do in our culture, and I won't say every woman because I don't know, but primarily half the women don't experience orgasm, even when they're young, and have a lot of estrogen. And then a quarter half have had orgasms. Half of those have never had it with a man in the room. That's trust issues. And the other half is primarily clitoral orgasms, some actual vaginal orgasms. And I don't want to sound, when I talk about this, I don't want to make people be more goal oriented, but when you actually if you don't try to have an orgasm with clitoral stimulation, what happens is you just feel more love instead of, you get like kissing. Kissing starts producing the hormones of estrogen. Then breast stimulation produces the hormones of estrogen. Then clitoral stimulation produces the hormones of estrogen. And along the way, a lot of love talk. It's the emphasis on love talk is too low in our culture. Like, I'm so lucky to be married to you. I love you so much. You're such a sweetheart. This feels so good. I'm so glad we have together. I love working so hard to support the family. These are some, you tell him what love talk you need to hear. So he didn't know to say those things. It's like most women write these Hallmark cards. But when I teach this at my classes, I say, how many women would love to hear that every time? All the women raise their hand. And the men are like shocked. They have no idea. Men generally don't talk in sex. And that might interfere with blood flow going down. Who knows? But it's a matter of expressing more love verbally instead of it just being sort of a penis action. You got to use your heart, use your mind. And use sex as an opportunity to feel love. And I didn't know that as a man. I remember 7 years into the marriage, and sex becomes a bit routine around that time for many people. And for us, it was sometimes really great, just routine. That's satisfying to me, no problem. But one night my performance was stellar, and it's kind of like, look at the result I produced here. So I said, wow, that sex was as good as it was in the beginning. And she said, well, actually, that was much better. And I thought, well, why? And she said, because in the beginning, we didn't really know each other that well. But now, 6, 7 years, you've seen the best of me and you've seen the worst of me and you still adore me. That's what makes sex great. And that was a turning point for me where I realized, there's the intensity of a stranger. But when you know somebody and you can still feel that high testosterone sex, you're loving someone. So if I'm eating ice cream, I produce the hormones of love, but I'm loving ice cream, not a person. When we have sex with strangers or in the beginning of relationships, we're just in love with the pleasure. We're not really projecting that yet onto our partner. It takes years of intimacy, getting to know each other, and then getting turned on by each other's feelings and mind and taking care of them and being there for them and forgiving them. All of those things we've done to be a better, more loving person really turn sex around. So the point of sex is to feel, and the point of feeling is to feel our love inside. And men really have a challenge with this, meaning that they don't have a lot of sources in their life that stimulate feeling. We don't have as much estrogen as women. Women they can feel love for children more than men. They can feel love for their pets more than men. They can feel love for their grandchildren more than men, generally speaking. And they can love their friends more, and they can love life more if they're feeling safe. A woman who gets divorced has a much higher chance of not even being interested in being with a man again. A woman who does have an interest usually takes on average 9 years. For men, all men, with some exception, will be married in 3 years, or at least have a sexual partner. They need sex. Sex is such a powerful, pleasurable stimulation that makes us feel. And then if we have already bonded mentally and emotionally with our partner, then we can feel love for them rather than I just love how good you make me feel. See, that's him just being too far on his female side, is love and wanting to provide for you the right experience is more masculinity, and enjoying the process as his feminine side and expressing his love, knowing that his expressions of love are very meaningful for you to have higher levels of estrogen and orgasmic experience without just depending upon intensification of the pleasure in order to have what women call an orgasm. It's not an orgasm, it's a climax. And for men, intensification of the pleasure in order to ejaculate. The too much intensification keeps us away from actually connecting to each other. We're kind of addicted to the pleasure at that time. So as we learn to do this, sex lasts longer, it's more enjoyable, and it's experience of making love rather than just having sex.
Wow. Okay. That was a lot. All right. I think every listener is going to have to take a hike twice to to digest all this, but it's so good and so rich. Okay, so this comes from a single woman. She says, I'm single and in a distance relationship. I run a business. The last time the two of us were together, there were no sparks, like no physical chemistry. It's never been like that before. So what's that all about?
I'm gonna have to hear the question again.
Yep. She said, I'm single in a distance relationship. I run a business. The last time we were together, there weren't any sparks for me, like no physical chemistry. And it's never been like that before. What's that about?
It's about distance. Too much distance doesn't produce connection, produces estrogen. I presume they talk a lot on the phone or they see each other on the computer. After what that stops, that wears off really quick, particularly for men. But also digital stimulation in the beginning, because it's new and different, can stimulate the hormones of sex, estrogen for women, testosterone for men, but it just doesn't work after a while. For example, I have had a men's group where we meet in person. And then for a while during the lockdown, we met on computer. And then I stopped. I just had no interest in talking to them there. And now some have traveled other places. They want to join by computer. And I say, well, I'm not going to do the whole thing on computer. It needs to be at least 2 or 3 guys actually in the room, if not 4 or 5, for it to be a men's group. Otherwise, I get nothing out of it. It's kind of like for a man when he does porn, and that certainly isn't porn. It's a lower level of computer stimulation, but porn is like cocaine on a man's brain. And when he goes in to masturbate with one of these women, he never wants to look at her again. Okay, it's just there's no real intimacy, and therefore he moves on to the next and the next and the next, and that's proven. And the time he's there is a total of 8 minutes. There's not even enough time. Well, there's nowhere for the energy to go. You see, men ejaculate. There's a curve, and men, on average, the average curve is the beginning of the curve is premature ejaculation, 30 seconds, a minute. Then it goes up to 2 minutes, 3 minutes. 4 to 5 minutes of intercourse is the top part. And then it goes over the other side, pretty much goes straight to men who can't ejaculate. They're just so used to masturbating that they have to be really, really intense. And you can't get that intense with a woman. After a while, for males, they can't even, some males, if they have very little estrogen, more muscle mass on their body, they can't ejaculate. And that's a problem. Now, what the key is learning how to last longer and yet have a huge amount of estrogen in your body so that she can get the full vaginal stimulation she needs. Masters and Johnson talked about 3 distinct points in a woman's vagina that open up after she starts lubricating through kissing, breast stimulation, and clitoris. Her estrogen levels are getting higher and higher. And then there's the G spot, then the E spot, and then the cervix actually comes down. Each one of those is another orgasm. And at that point, the whole vagina has clamped onto the penis so tight with each orgasm, a tightness. And then he doesn't even have to stroke inside of her. But basically, it's these little pulses and expressions of love. Each one is an orgasm, orgasm, orgasm. That's fantastic. And then you can do different positions and always stimulate different parts of the vagina, but it fully opens up. This is not me talking. This is also 5,000-year-old knowledge from Taoism in China, where men would live for hundreds of years and would never ejaculate for the sake of ejaculation, but only when they wanted to make children. And what they would say, just for fun, I'll tell you, this is not scientific, but this is the Taoism philosophy, is that every time a man ejaculates, he just takes a day off his life. and if you want to live long and be healthy and vibrant, which a man's biological age is actually measured by his, when he gets an erection, how straight up it goes. Like as he gets older, it's like, I was at a gym where, how do I know this? I mean, you're at a gym, you see men's penises. This one guy had an erect penis aimed straight down. He was 80 years old. It was bizarre. But around 40, it starts becoming halfway, or 50 halfway, and then 60, it goes further down because he doesn't have testosterone to cause it to go up. And it's sort of a paradox. If you don't have testosterone, it doesn't go up fully. With somebody you love. Now, if you're with a, let's say it's somebody you don't know, it will shoot up because there's no estrogen. It's like, men with other men, and I've never been there, but I hear stories from my gay friends. They just go to strangers and it will go straight up, and they can do like 8 guys or 20 guys. That's their world they live in, because see, another man doesn't have the high estrogen. They're loving the experience as opposed to the person. You can't love somebody unless you know them first, right? You got to get to know them. And can you still get an erection after you know her? So that's hopefully a marriage. You get to know them more. You get turned on by them. But the big research on men is single men have the highest testosterone when tested. Men in committed relationships have the next highest. Married men have the next lowest. And married men have the next lowest. And then men with children, it goes down lower. And they haven't done this test, but I presume once you have grandchildren, it even goes down lower. If you don't have proper sex skills, which I teach, because mine are 50% higher than a young man. And they've only gotten higher as I get older, because I know how to have sex. And also I know how to have a relationship where I get plenty of me time. So that I come out of the cave and I'm like today, they're just off the chart. I got so much momentum, did all these things. I'm so thoughtful. All that stuff happens when men are anticipating having great sex. That's why when they're dating you, they're so much different, because they're anticipating great sex. But my great sex is with Bonnie or with my partner now is not dependent upon the newness, although there is a newness now, which is adding to it. But even with Bonnie, the what I teach is that you have to have good communication skills, so you're not dependent just on newness in order for your testosterone levels to go up. But you're depending upon polarity. Polarity is having time in the relationship where she's more feminine than him and he's more masculine than her. That polarity has been proven. When women are in the presence of a high testosterone man, it will, in her presence, it goes up. Her estrogen levels will go higher. When men are in the presence of a woman's estrogen going higher, his testosterone will go up. So this is all communicated by pheromones. And pheromones, the smells that you produce, you can't consciously smell them, but you're putting it out. Even like with my dog, I have a puppy now, and I don't want it to feel, I sleep in a different room. She's in a little pen and has her little cage, and she can be in there. Just so she doesn't feel lonely, I give her my T-shirt from the day. And so she has the smell of me and feels very content and loved. This is so bizarre. We are animals. See, we don't have direct control over our sexual impulses. It's controlled by the fight or flight center in the back of our brain. And there is one aspect of that, which is if a woman doesn't bond with her father, she'll create a string of men falling in love with men who are not available. And she falls in lust with them. Women should ideally, and there can always be some exceptions to this, not follow their arousal or sexual excitement. They need to feel safe with a man. But if they have a series of experiences where they get turned on to men who are only available for one night or a few weeks or a few months, and then they just lose interest, uh, that's because they pick these guys based upon lust, which means I'm turned on in his presence and I don't even know him. See, a man is supposed to be turned on to a woman if he doesn't know her, and then he's supposed to have the manners to get to know her first and see if he's still turned on. A woman needs to not be turned on to, she won't be turned on to the right guy until he gets to know her and provides emotional support for her. So naked mind first, naked heart. Then when you have a naked body, you get turned on and you want to get naked. You want to take him inside of you because he's provided a support for you. But when you're over 50, you kind of have a whole history of not trusting men or feeling you can't depend on them, only because you don't know how to be feminine. See, being feminine is having patience, having acceptance, not demanding perfection, feeling love, feeling happy in your life, not depending too much on your husband. So I'll just toss in here that every woman who tends to not be able to ask for help, gives too much, and then now feels a little unhappy because you don't get back. You just don't have the skills. So my daughter and I put together, she did it, which is, I'm just a consultant for it, called How to Get Your Me Time, which means how to find your fulfillment without depending on a man. And then you free him from feeling overburdened by your unhappiness and your stress. And his job is just to make you happier. I guarantee when you learn how to be estrogen and progesterone oriented at the right times of the month, and if you're over 50, you don't just mainly make sure you're getting the right estrogen in your body at the right times. Think about full moon as being a time when you really want to, moving towards the full moon, focus more on your estrogen. And then as you're leaving the full moon, focus a little bit more on your independence for happiness. So these are just cycles of learning how to blend your masculine side, your feminine side. And as you bring them together, you find the wholeness of who you are. You find yourself, the true person who's happy and fulfilled and motivated and attractive, and all that stuff is possible if we balance the male-female sides of us.
Love that. And it brings me to a question. And I think wondering about you, if I may ask, and a lot of women listening right now will be potentially wondering, what are your thoughts, Dr. Gray, on hormone replacement?
Well, it's like, what are my thoughts on vaccination? I never got vaccinated. I didn't feel the need for it. As a little boy, went into the office and they wanted to give me a measles shot in my butt, and I just ran for the hills. And my mother chased me, and finally she found me. I still remember running through the office. I'm out of here. And then she thought, well, if you don't want to take that shot, then you're just going to get the measles. And I said, that's okay with me. So that's just, I don't trust medicine. I just see people getting sicker and sicker. Doctors are trained to use drugs. I'm all into natural supplements, natural lifestyle. Now I'm pretty much just interested into love and organic foods. When I start traveling again, which I'm starting to do, just was in London, Italy, and coming back, I'll be in Bali, various places on the airplane. You can't get healthy food in these other places. They're non-organic food. I will start taking supplements again, but I always do keep detoxing myself. Like right now, I'm doing iodine to help kick out all the heavy metals. So when you travel, just being on an airplane, you'll absorb heavy metals from the engine. Life is toxic today, and we need to learn to cleanse our body, do things for our health. And that's self-love, by the way. People say, how do you love yourself? You do things that are good for you. And for women, self-love will increase by doing things that are estrogen stimulating, and instead of just focusing on solving everybody's problems and fixing the world. And, I feel sorry for all those people out there demonstrating, and angry people demonstrating. They're just stressing themselves out. They're going to live short lives. It's all the way it is. Then they'll be sick. if you can do it peacefully, and you're doing, we're having a fun, grand old time here, then it's good. Now, back to your question on hormones. I have many friends in the holistic health market and doctors and so forth. I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a psychologist. So probably nobody's ever written a book like Beyond Mars and Venus, which teaches us communication skills to raise our hormones, to balance our hormones, awareness of what I'm doing to interfere with my hormone production. That's never been taught before. This is all new stuff, what I'm doing here. And they're doing another solution, which is giving people hormones. If you give a woman or a man hormones, the body stops making those hormones. So you can be dependent on those hormones forever. And that can be expensive. And also, some women swear by it. I mean, I just look at results. They love it. And some women go, it was horrible. It was terrible. It was out of balance. Like birth control pills for some women just wipe them out. Other women don't seem to notice. So it's, if you have a good doctor that you trust and they have really good responses and you want to do that, I delight in whatever people doing that they wish. But my friends, I always say, do you just give them hormones if they have these symptoms? They say, no, I try to have a good diet and I give them supplements. And if that doesn't work, then I give them hormones. So I say, well, now you should give them relationship skills and supplements. So right away, if you're having hormonal problems, one of the best supplements is Estro-G, Estro, ESTRO-G. There's 5 or 6 major supplement companies that sell it. It's under promoted. It's got massive science with it for helping women balance their hormones. But also, one of the reasons over 50, balancing is everything. But sometimes to balance, you have to have enough. And their estrogen levels are so low, every time they do their male side, just knocks them out. So one scientist that I know said, how do you heal you see, once you no longer have eggs to make your estrogen, your adrenal gland has to do it. But if you've been stressed out most of your life or part of your life, being more independent, not feeling nurtured on your female side or being nurturing on your female side. See, nurturing is really a good thing. It's balance of testosterone and estrogen. You're giving and receiving. But nurturing an adult is not good. Nurture children who are truly dependent on you, and then you'll get unconditional love back. But nurturing your husband is not your main job. That's just going to push you over to your male side. Providing support for others is your male side, unless that person is giving you unconditional love. Just that's the one exception. Now, so adrenal support, there are supplements that actually have adrenal cortex in them, and they're good for the adrenal gland. There's one program which I saw the research on. I've never done it because I don't have a stress problem, but I've seen it help people. I've told a lot of people about it, but you don't always get the feedback on it. But these are 3 amino acids. One scientist did the research, and he said that doing these 3, when you have adrenal fatigue, your body stops making DHEA. It's a hormone. And from that hormone, it makes all your other hormones. It's like the major hormone to make everything else. So when you have adrenal fatigue, you don't have the substratum to even make estrogen, which is DHEA. Now, certainly you can take DHEA supplements. I do that long before, after I do Estro-G, see if it works for you. Keep doing it. Take some suggested doses of DHEA. That's miraculous results. But then the ultimate is don't take anything, make it. So how do you actually heal your adrenal gland? Well, I saw a research study from a doctor who found that women who couldn't make enough DHEA in 3 months made abundance of DHEA, which then, if you do things that are nurturing your soul, meaning do things you like, that would then stimulate the production of estrogen. So you have to have like the building bricks, but you have to have the design. You have to produce the estrogen, you have to do things that produce estrogen, and you have to have an adrenal gland that's not stressed out from too many years of stress. That's burnout. So the hormones that this scientist found out was taurine, which, by the way, a lot of beauticians will take 5,000 milligrams 3 times a day just to have beautiful skin. It's a sulfur hormone. It's a sulfur supplement. And then another supplement called MSM, the best thing for your skin, best thing to detox your body. And it's one of the cheapest supplements on the market. It's again under marketed because there's no profit margin on it, but it's sulfur. Throughout time, people they'd have pain in their body, and they would go to sulfur springs. So sulfur springs. And the other thing he found was vitamin C. He discovered that when you take high doses of taurine, vitamin C, and MSM, it goes straight to your adrenal gland before it goes anywhere. I don't know how he found that, but anyway, that was his research. And after 3 months of high doses of taurine, vitamin C, and MSM, you can't take high doses right away because you'll detox so much. It's sulfur. I mean, it heals your body. Anything that body doesn't want, it will take it away. So you start with little doses and you build up to where you're taking basically approximately all of these. You're taking 5,000 milligrams 3 times a day. And vitamin C, usually it would just go through you, but if your adrenal gland needs it, it will suck it in. Normally, you can only handle 500 milligrams twice a day, the research shows. But he was giving women vitamin C. And if you're doing vitamin C, do vitamin C ascorbate rather than ascorbic acid. Ascorbate has minerals with it too. But those are 3 substances. And since I recently gave up coffee, my energy level dropped, except for today as she's coming back. And the coffee in itself has great research, okay, for lack of dementia, lack of Parkinson's. It helps with ADD type symptoms. It gives you motivation. Now, if you're a writer, most of the TV writers are all on cocaine out of LA. These are high dopamine stimulators. They're just shortening their lives. And the more you depend on dopamine stimulation in a relationship, the less you're going to be able to really connect with your partner. You want to be able to have it be dependent upon polarity. Polarity is just, I come home and I'm so loved. I get testosterone goes up. I work hard, and she feels that she's not alone. She has support. She can ask for help. A big estrogen stimulators, talk to a therapist, talk to a coach who listens to your feelings. If you really have problems, then watch out for therapists. Therapists will do a pity party. Pity party will produce estrogen, just like a good therapist who tells you how to solve your problems after you've shared. If a woman comes to me, I listen with full empathy for at least 30 minutes, and then I point out to her all the ways she unknowingly makes it worse, how she's just as bad as her partner. I mean, it's amazing when you get in there. But see, women don't know it. They don't see it. And we always, whether you're a man or a woman, when we're angry at our partners, you say, why are you angry? And they said, because he did this and this and this. I said, but why are you angry? Well, wouldn't you be angry at that? For a few minutes, I would. I wouldn't be holding on to it. So let's look at another reason you're angry. You're angry because you're disappointed that he's not fulfilling your expectations. You're trying to change him. Nobody responds to being changed. Men don't want you to try to change their behavior. Women don't want you to try to change how she feels. Guy tells you shouldn't feel that way, or you're really angry at him because he cheated on you. And he says, well, here's a diamond ring. too little, too late. You don't want somebody telling you how you're supposed to feel. Men don't want anybody telling us how we're supposed to do. But you can ask in a non-demanding way. We will respond to that. And men have to be non-judgmental of a wife when she's angry or hurt, or, this is all these overreactions everybody has. You see, Freud really opened the door up and then got kicked out. But what he pointed out is that almost every time you're upset, it's an accumulation of 15 things today. And it all gets projected onto either yourself or anybody you're intimate with. So you're either hard on yourself or you're hard on your partner because you've got all this built up emotional tension. Now, what he didn't know, so that's called overreaction. Everything's an overreaction. If you're not loving and not happy, you're overreacting. You're telling yourself a story that's not true. It's partially true. He said this and this, I'm now angry. Or he didn't do this and this, I'm now angry. But why are you angry? Because you're also sad and disappointed that life is not giving you what you want. Now we can get a little bit into your narcissism, whether you're a man or woman. And that's only painful. If you're disappointed, you have this expectation it wasn't fulfilled. Why is that painful? A lot of things disappoint me. It's not a big deal. Let it go. Because underneath that disappointment is I'm afraid I'll never get what I want. So now you're just in your fear. And anytime you're in fear, it's all false evidence appearing real. But as soon as you feel fear towards a man, you don't trust him. The number one nutrient, it's like vitamin D for a man, is trust. You're afraid to ask for things. You're afraid to react to things. So how do you get rid of that fear? Well, part of it is emotional intelligence. That will have to be a whole nother talk by me. Nobody knows this either. They're telling you how you should be. No, you should go into your feelings and learn how to let them go without trying to change the outer world. If ever you use emotions or a bad mood or hurt is the most destructive thing to a relationship. When you say, it's like psychology says, I feel hurt, as if that's not supposed to affect the other person. Psychology 101, put an I feel in front of whatever you say and it's okay, like somebody's supposed to hear it. It's the worst thing to do is I feel hurt. You're 6 years old at that time. Children should feel hurt because they have no brain developed yet. And you can be disappointed, you could be sad. That's using part of your higher intelligence. But a child's brain, when you're disappointed, you feel hurt. And then I feel hurt when. If you feel hurt, go do some therapy exercises to grow up. And I get it. I know what feeling hurt is and so forth. And I also know convert your feel hurt, and then feel sad, then feel disappointed, and then ask myself why I'm disappointed and why that's painful. It's because I'm afraid I'm not going to get what I want. And then you read my books and you realize the reason you're not getting what you want is you're giving the wrong messages to your partner. You don't see how you're destroying your relationship. And this is a lot of work. If you're over 50 and you're single, my gosh, you've had a lot of relationships and you just blame that man because you can't help but blame that man or be really hard on yourself because you don't understand how men tick. You think everything you're doing is right. It's not. If you're not getting the results you want, you're doing the wrong thing. Or it's also you picked the wrong person, but that's your fault as well. You keep picking the wrong person. You're punishing them. You're finding somebody you can't love. So there's a lot to this whole thing of relationship. And it's more complicated today than ever before. And don't use the excuse, well, it's too complicated, because these books a teenager can understand this stuff. It's just you have to have a teacher. Now, why do you have to have me to do that? Nobody else will do it. But because historically, all you needed to have a relationship work, your expectation was, as a woman, I want to make a lot of babies, so I need a man who has a job. And if he has a job and he's well paid, he has self-esteem. And all he has to do is provide for the home and have muscles to protect us. and that's it. You just, for a man to make a woman happy in the past, he already knew he could do it. No need to change him. So no complaining. When you stop complaining, you bring out the best in men. And all your needs, all you have to do, you pretty much didn't have to ask for what you needed either, because you already found he can do what I need. He makes money, he can provide safety, and he has some training where he doesn't get angry. Men just today, they're so angry and so demanding and so pouting and so negative and so whiny, so entitled, just like women are so entitled. What do you mean we're entitled? Anytime you're upset, I'm entitled to more than what is. No, you're entitled to what is. You're creating your life. These are really healthy attitudes. And it's not a matter of some new age philosophy. It's just recognizing cause and effect. If you complain to a guy, you're going to shut him down. So my wife could complain to me for years. She says, you forgot to turn out the light. You walk through the living room, you forgot to turn out the light. So maybe half the time I forget to turn out the light. But she'll say, you always don't turn out the light. What about the other times I did? Not getting credit for that. So she's coming from disapproval, complaining. Then she woke up one day. Maybe she read one of my books. And she said so sweetly, actually, she taught me this one. So many of my things in my book, she actually taught me by doing the right things to make me a more loving person. But she used to put her hands on her hips. You forgot again. She'd be so disappointed, had to turn out the light again. See, why is she making such a big deal out of it? Well, the way the brain works, come back to Freud. But what happens at a certain point, you ask for something little and it doesn't get done, and you're a woman. He just didn't understand the differences between men and women. So I have to do all that for everybody. But basically, you ask many, many times, it doesn't get done. It's still a little thing, right? And the first time I did it was no big deal. She's happy to turn the switch off. Second time, happy to do it. No big deal. Why does it suddenly become a big deal? It's a no big deal. That's logical. It's not a big deal. I'm a logical person. Why are you getting so upset with me? So all my brain can do is dismiss it as overreaction. And it is an overreaction. But all she had to do, instead of using her overreaction, and what is the overreaction in that point of view? In her mind, it says, if he doesn't turn out the light, and I've asked him so many times, that means, oh, what does that mean? He doesn't love me. So if I really need something, he won't be there for me because it's such a little thing. When the opposite is true, if it's a big thing, which I'm doing, supporting my family all the time. We live in an amazing house, amazing lifestyle, amazing vacations, amazing communicator, all these things. But if he won't do that little thing to the primitive brain, that means if I really need him, he won't be there. It's a little thing. Don't focus on little things. Freud explained we focus on our partners about little things. The better they are, the crazier we sound. Women have to complain when they can't complain about the stress in their life. It's the nature of estrogen is to ask for help. And the primitive brain complains to get help. What did Bonnie do as she became more enlightened? I remember the day it happened and I changed just like that 3 times and I changed. And to this day, I sweetly turn out the light thinking of my love for her rather than being afraid of forgetting. Okay, oh my God, my crazy wife, I better turn this light out or she'll be so upset. You don't want him thinking that. Now I go, oh, I want to turn the light out. Makes her so happy. How did that happen? Simple. This is the whole logic. Nobody's got this down that I've heard, at least. She walks into the kitchen one day and she says, big smile on her face, oh, John, and tone of voice like something good happened, gets my attention. She says, I've noticed you've been turning out the light more these days. And I just wanted to remind you how much I love it. And sometimes you still forget, it's no big deal, and walked out of the room. Those are magic phrases. Write it all down, women. That phrase in there is, sometimes you do it, and I just want to remind you. And he's thinking, remind you that you didn't do it? No, I want to remind you how good it feels inside of me. And it's not a big deal, but you still forget sometimes. Minimize, 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 and men will show more interest. Because if you say, why don't you remember to turn out that light? I always have to do it for you. That's just huge slamming criticism. His behavior isn't good enough. And just wipes out the passion for him, wipes out the interest in her and so forth. And the poor communication skills that we have today will kill the passion. Now, my mother's generation, if she used those, it wouldn't kill the passion because they didn't care about passion. They had mediocre sex, they stopped having sex after a while. It was just men just doing a woman and she's obligated to do him. And she didn't know, multi-orgasmic woman. She didn't have all this estrogen stimulating through her. This is all this fantasy of today. I teach you how to do it. Everybody just says, oh, you're supposed to do it. No way. It just happens automatically. Women say to me sometimes, oh, where are the romantic men? Where's Romeo? Romeo died a day after he got married. So yeah, he was all passionate. And when you find men that are really adept at wooing you, they're there for 2 weeks and they're gone. They can't, if they do their best stuff and they're out of there. What you want is a man who can provide regular, sustained estrogen support, lots of little things, occasional big things. And the way you get them to do it, you ask. You just say, look, is my birthday coming up? Here's 3 things I'd like. Here's 8 presents I'd like. Take a pick, give him multiple choice and you'll still feel, oh, he picked that for me. There's so many skills we need to learn if we want to have great sex for a lifetime, if we want to live long, happy, fulfilled lives, if we want to have good communication, if we want to have passion. It's possible, but it's learning a whole new set of skills. It's like learning to use a computer without a manual. My gosh, what are you going to do? It'd be crazy.
So good. So rich. Oh my gosh. And you just came alive. You got so much conviction. I'm going to ask you one more and the hardest question if you have a couple minutes. Yeah. When you first began, is this place you're at right now what you imagined?
Oh, I can never imagine where I am today. What in my advanced classes, I do weekend classes and I teach men the steps for men to become multi-orgasmic, for men to have the iron penis that stays up whenever he's aroused, straight up at 70 years old, 80 years old. I don't know about 80, but I think it's going to be always, if you practice learning how to manage ejaculation. See, there's a simple, and I couldn't teach this in my book, Mars, Venus in the Bedroom, because I didn't have any evidence on it. As other people have written books on multi-orgasmic man, multi-orgasmic woman. There's good stuff in these things. Didn't work for me so much. And for me, I was teaching it back when I was in my early 30s, but I would get blue balls. So I couldn't do it that often. It's learning how to have orgasms without ejaculating. However, I've now figured it out and I teach men, but the earlier stage is, it's like becoming an NBA player, and you know, it's the highest level of spirituality, is to make love multi-orgasmic without releasing your energy. And so you always have the energy to do more and more. And having said that, the research came out. Japanese did this research. Take note. If a man ejaculates once a week, go 6 days abstaining from ejaculation, on the seventh day his testosterone increases 50%. Now, if he does it twice, he stays at baseline. And in America, because men ejaculate typically more than once a week, testosterone levels are just going down, down, down. They don't have to be that way. I've been down to the Amazon where they don't have all this pornography and overstimulation. And these men practice this and they have sex every night, you know, at all ages. I don't know if they're 90 or whatever, but sometimes the jungle kills them. But they maintain the attraction. And for them, though, they feel attracted to other members of the community. Now, to be amazing, even better, is to have this in a monogamous relationship, because in a monogamous relationship will always raise estrogen in a woman. She feels special, number one. His behavior has to do it, but fundamentally, he should never ejaculate with another woman or thinking of another woman. That just robs the relationship of the juice, of the connection, of the bonding. And they proved that in the study. They just showed when you go 6 days for a young man without ejaculating, your testosterone levels are like they were when you fell in love. So that's pretty amazing. And if you get older, like you're 50, it might be 2 weeks. You have to just not do any porn and wait for your body to burst where you really want to have sex. Okay. So but it should be at least six days. There's a big pressure on couples to have sex twice a week. And you can just tell if your sex isn't like it was in the beginning, you should abstain. And then it's kind of like food. If you go a day without food or even 2 days without food, it tastes so good later. Why not wait a little bit? But men have a difficulty time waiting. There's pressure on them to do it. And they're missing a hormone. So a lot of single men just are lusting all the time. And I want sex. I need sex. I got to have sex. And what happens is if a woman has an orgasm when you make love to her, okay, then your body, and you're in a monogamous relationship and she has an orgasm, his body will make another hormone called prolactin. And prolactin inhibits his desire to have sex for a while, and definitely prohibits his desire to be with another woman. And that's by a woman's orgasm and him only having sex where his testosterone is 50% higher. And they took men who do masturbation, they do porn, they do, prostitutes. Those men don't produce prolactin. So it increases the addiction to sex. So some couples, the woman will say, oh, my husband wants sex every day. And that's not exciting for her. She needs the time to build up the energy. Anybody has sex every day, if they're ejaculating, they're just running low. And testosterone, a man will want to have sex. His testosterone is so low that simply having an erection produces testosterone. And he'll be using a lot of porn generally, or he's lusting after women and all that. And I don't want to judge that. I did all that, but then I figured this stuff out. And so now I'm getting the benefit of being free from the addiction to ejaculation. And then after producing enough prolactin, it builds up in your body. Then what happens is you're free from the addiction to ejaculation, and it's easy to practice being multi-orgasmic. There's a skill I have. Nobody else teaches this skill. Other skills are like practice imagining energy going places, or taking deep breaths, or ejaculation, sucking back the ejaculate. You never want to do that. That's what I learned from these people and just got sore balls. And I took other people in classes and they weren't really multi-orgasmic men. So they would eventually ejaculate lots of arousal, but no, keep the juice, the life force. This is the force for a man that combined with the female energy makes life. You don't want to ever waste it. It's the most precious thing we've got.
Beautifully said. It's been such a pleasure to have you, and what a wealth of information. I can't thank you enough for coming back. I have a feeling that maybe we should do the male side of Q&A at some point, if you're willing.
Of course, I'm happy to do male side. I'm happy to do all these things.
Thank
I
you
do. I
so
live
much.
to help the world be a better place.
And
The
you
world
are.
is a mess today. Everybody's gone the wrong. Everybody, the culture, at least the academic culture, which is raising people. I've been canceled from the universities. I used to teach at Harvard and Stanford. The kids just revolted. I'm a sexist. They need a safe zone. I'm dangerous. This is just
What?
nonsense. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
anyone who says that men and women are different, you're just seeing how exaggerated it is now. This
Oh,
started happening for me around year 2000. My popularity in the 90s and the 80s was simply because people hadn't yet been fully indoctrinated into men and women many people thought we're all the same, but some people said this seems like nonsense. The emperor has no clothes. Obviously, we do. But for the younger generations that's been growing up, there's a lot of logic behind social engineering. They say that we're just socially engineered to be male and female. And there's some truth to that. See, there's always some truth. Culture is the social engineering. And this culture socially engineered men to produce more testosterone because men need that, and engineered women to an environment that would put women's estrogen levels up high so that they felt stress-free lives. Now we're pushing women to their male side and men to their female side by default, and we're just in a mess. Now the next teaching up is we're more free. See, freedom says I can be whatever I want, but freedom has consequences. So when women are free, they're going to express a part of them new and different. But how do you get back to your female side? That's the challenge for women. And now over 50, how do you get back to your female side? It's so easy to go to your male side. For example, when you're not getting what you want in a relationship, in today's world, you're free. Well, then I can take care of myself. I don't need him. But needing is the basis of feeling love, happiness, joy. I have what I need. But if you're not getting what you need, it's easy to just go right over to I can do it myself. And for men, if we don't feel confident and to produce the work and solve problems and whatever, I can just go to my female side and depend on the government for money and get welfare, or find a rich woman, or or take drugs to make me happy. We're a drug culture. It's because men who are not happy with themselves just go over to their female side, and I can just do some drugs and I'll be happy. But that's not lasting happiness. It's not the foundation for happiness, being on your male side. And then what the result of all this government, the university deneutralizing, neutering men and making women into men is divorce, massive amount of divorce. And now what you have is children growing up without fathers and mothers who love each other. So how's a boy to develop his male side without a father and a mother who loves him, and a father who treats a woman with respect? So many girls, I've never seen a man treat a woman with respect. And then you have what's on TV. It's just, we're just a mess. So it behooves us all to do whatever we can to teach people and share my books and share my website and promote me. I know it's self-promoting, but it's reality. The society is just going the wrong direction. This is a direction that works. Okay, it works, and we just have to learn it because we're in a crisis now.
Clearly, because this is what everybody wants. Everybody wants and seeks and desires what it is you're describing. I am sure for very many listeners, just because of in the role of personal trainer so many times, I hear more than I actually needed to hear, but beyond physiology and kinesiology. And I know, what feels like it's missing, and you're certainly filling in the holes. So again, thank you so much for being here. Listeners, I hope that you will help me in thanking Dr. Gray from being here and coming back, and express that in your questions, your comments, and we have all the links to visit his site in the show notes. And that will be at flipping50.com/libido and hormone questions. And I wish you a happy reunion later today.
Thank you.